All right. Good morning. Heidi Foy here with Bullfrog Creatives, and we are partnering with the official NIRA and the College National Finals Rodeo to bring you the CNFR CINCH morning show. Super excited. This is going to be our last episode of the week. I know you guys have watched diligently and made comments and shared, and we appreciate that. So with me today is CJ Aragon and Ben Londo. You guys are not going to want to miss our show today. Stay tuned. All right, we are back. And for those of you guys that joined yesterday, we have sound. Every day is a new day to make the right choice and do all the production things right. So these guys have been, you guys have been on our platform before.
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
Through 2020. And as the show kind of progressed and we grew, we've talked about your guys' role here, but let's kind of recap, because last year was your first year as the arena directors. A little bit different setup last year and this year for the first time. Instead of having one arena director, we kind of split it. So talk about that. I mean, how was it different this year? Did it go smooth? I mean, talk about your roles a little bit.
I think it went really smooth this year. Last year we learned a lot, and we know what we need to do now and how we need to make things run. And the thing that I think is amazing for my end of the arena, and I think Ben will probably say the same thing, is we have an amazing crew of volunteers that help us. Makes our job pretty easy. The coaches up here from around the nation, they step up, and I think we have probably the most experienced and the most knowledgeable crew that you're going to find at any rodeo across the country.
Yeah, no, the crew is what makes this whole thing shine. This is a huge production to put on, and it's awesome to have all these coaches come in from all different regions, all with different expertise and different ways of doing things that work in their region. I learned a lot on our end about what I can take back to our region. Helps make things work smoother and faster and better. Yeah. And just speed up a production and make for a better production.
Yeah.
But it's nice having a year under our belt. We both kind of just stepped into this not really knowing what to expect last year, and having a year under our belt and being here earlier and involved, from the first load of dirt that goes in the arena all the way to the last scoop that'll come out after this. It's neat to see the entire process in full fold and be involved in every step of the way.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk a little bit. I know that we've taken a picture of the full production staff. How many people? I'm trying to think how many rows were in the picture.
I'm not sure. I didn't even count to see how many people, but I would venture to say probably over 100.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I would say, north of 100 for sure.
So if you guys have attended the rodeo and you see everybody running around in cute little matching shirts, that's all the production staff. So coaches, like these guys said, coaches from different regions. I would say, I'm trying to think, maybe 25 plus locals.
Yeah, there's a lot of locals that help out, especially with the setup and tear down and stuff, getting all the signage up in the arenas. That's the other thing, that Casper has an amazing support group up here in town with the Casper committee. They roll out the red carpet for us and make this event truly what it is.
Yeah, we hit some challenges early on with our load in, and going downtown to get something an implement for the tractor, or some different parts, or to modify something in the arena, bring a welder in. There's people just chomping at the bit to help, and I can't think of one thing that we got billed for or had to pay for. Everyone was just excited to be part of this production and help where they could.
Well, and I think now we're 25 years, 25?
25.
Yeah, 25 years in Casper. The community understands typically like the caliber of students that come, the families that come, but also the money that is spent here. I mean, obviously we don't want to focus on just the economic impact, but from a community standpoint, it would be a major loss for the community to lose this type of an event. And so I think everybody knows that, and they try to, do what you just said. They try to do what we can to keep it here and to help in any way. So that's my plug for Casper.
I think it's neat. Every night in our production meeting, we talk about the attendance. And I think so far, every performance, knock on wood, this year, our attendance has been up over last year, which was record attendance. So, if everybody shows up tonight, we could set another record overall for the college finals, which that's huge because I've been on helping out up here for 16 years now, and we keep breaking that record. And at some point, they're not going to be able to break it because this building only seats so many people, but they just keep filling it up every year.
What's amazing to me is our attendance record, as of this week already, with the rains and the inclement weather and the mud and the flooding downtown. I thought the flooding and all the road closures would have killed our perf on, what was that, Thursday night?
Thursday night.
Yeah, and shoot, highest numbers we've had on a Thursday night. So
I did get one message from a family that lives on a ranch north of Casper, and they were like, "We can't get off the ranch. How can we watch?"
Yeah.
So, but I think you're right. I was kind of worried about it coming in. I live where I can kind of stay north of town to get here, and I never even went into town. So I'm seeing all the pictures kind of like everybody else is. I never actually experienced that much water. And this is not just for you guys. This is not the first time that that's happened this year. We've had a massive amount of rain. I've heard more people say, I've never seen Wyoming so green.
It is green.
And I would add that I don't think Wyoming has ever seen Wyoming this green. My horses are loving it for sure, but it's definitely a little bit different problem to deal with. And maybe one that, we aren't as used to, like 12 feet of snow. We could do that. We can move that. We can figure that out. But rain is a little different.
Yeah.
It's a little faster. So
it hasn't slowed many people down.
No,
They're
it
still
hasn't.
getting out and enjoying rodeo. It's resilient fans.
I think the biggest challenge with all the rain has probably been our crew that works outside sorting and loading stock. You see those guys every night after the perf, and you can tell they've been
they put their work in.
They put their work in, and I feel sorry for the hotel or wherever they're staying because they're a little bit dirty when the perfs are done.
That's the nice part about CJ and I's job. We're figureheads. We got to stay clean.
Yes.
And stay in the arena and stay under the cover. So we can't get out there.
Yeah. Pretty. Keep you guys pretty.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Or clean. Let's keep you clean. Maybe not pretty. So what would you guys say? Are there still things that you can work on?
Yes.
I mean, we've been here for 25 years, but are there still things that we can tighten up or, maybe arena setup or something, anything like that?
Ben and I talk almost every night about things that we think we could have fixed with the previous performance or that we think we can fix to make better for next year. We've actually got plans to meet throughout the year to hopefully correct some things and make some things better for the kids up here as we move forward, because I think the great thing about this rodeo is the more we learn, the more it enables us to make it better. And in our roles, we come up with some ideas. We came up with some ideas the first day, and then we bounce them off some people, and some of them are, that's a good idea, or some of them, no, we've tried that before, and we need to move on from that. So I think we're always trying to work to make it better for the kids.
Yeah, I think that's a huge advantage to having CJ involved. He's very liked by all the coaches. He's very knowledgeable, and anybody can come up to him and share an idea with him, and he's willing to assess it and see if it makes sense, implement it, or neither of us I think are too proud to change our ways or the way that things have been run for a while. I'm confident that we can make some changes moving forward now. Last year we were just kind of, hey, this is what we're doing. This is what I'm going to do. I don't want to step out of bounds.
Yep.
This year we tried some things. We both liked, the results we saw. And then I've got probably 4 pages of notes back at the hotel, just, suggestions, implementations, things to try for next year. And I figure out.
I think that's crucial. It's not only does the community have to step up and support it, but it's crucial that you guys kind of keep a fresh mindset, because if you get complacent, then it's just the same. It's the same. And there's no, this is how we've always done it. There's no growth. And I know that, here's an example. We tried something during setup this year and tried to create some form of a catwalk to eliminate or alleviate some traffic behind the buck and shoots. It didn't work. and that's okay. I mean, I think everybody met and gathered and talked about the pros and cons and if it was going to work and why it doesn't work, all the things. But that conversation happened, and we're probably going to talk about it again and how we can make it happen. We know what we did this year didn't work, but what can we do to tweak it and maybe make that a benefit next year?
I know when Ben and I took over, Jim Dewey gave us each a 3-ring binder with all his notes that he had over the years. And I've seen Ben's 3-ring binder, and I know my 3-ring binder. We've added a lot just in a year.
Yeah.
And I think they'll continue to get bigger, and we're always looking at ways to make it better. Like Ben said, there's coaches that have ideas from all over the country that I think we can implement here to make it better for the kids.
Well, one thing about our role is, when we show up, the cast is set, the parts and the pieces are there, and we're just kind of orchestrating and trying to keep the production running.
Yeah.
But I think we're both going to dig a little deeper this next year, having one full year under our belt, and say, how can we get the parts and pieces here that we need to do a better production and do a better show for college rodeo and put on a better finals for these contestants.
So I think what's super interesting, I mean, I'm not really an outsider because I know kind of the inner workings and how everything works, but when you are standing or sitting in the arena up in the seats, you can't tell you can't tell when the spotlight was missed or when, the flag didn't drop when it was supposed to. Like, nobody knows those things. And we all know on the production side that those little things that we strive for, most of the time, the fans don't see that, but we do. And taking that pride, and I guess taking pride in your work and the product that we put out, is all part of why the product continues to get better and better.
I know in our pre-production meetings, they have the openings and everything planned down to 15-second increments.
Mm-hmm.
We know when we're going to buck the first horse within a few seconds, and for the most part it's been pretty on every night. And like you said, there's only a handful of people that know that.
Mm-hmm.
But the people that know that take a lot of pride that we can run that tight of a ship, that we can plan that and then implement it and execute it to that close of a time frame.
Yeah, I don't know that when I did the openings it was down to the second. I was lucky to get it by the minute. Like, I think the standard, I mean, I did it for 8 years, and it was always, I think it was always, we're going to buck at like 7:14, 7:11, 7:14, because our openings were a little bit longer then. But if I could get it at 11:59 seconds, then I was still an 11. So I would take that as a win. But I also learned tons of things when I was doing that about production. And, I had never really been involved. I mean, I had certainly worked the shoots at a rodeo, but I have not been involved in production to the extent that this rodeo does. So it was certainly a learning experience. We are seeing lots of new things. I mean, the openings are a little bit different. We're not seeing the stories, but we are getting a lot more video and action from the night before, which I feel like is really good. Season ticket sales are up.
They're up.
So we do have a handful of people that are coming every night that are seeing all the action, which from my standpoint, it would be really hard to only get one round before the short go. You know what I mean? Like, if you were only coming one night and you're only seeing this much of the story that truly unfolds throughout the whole week.
That's what I think is so great about our positions, our jobs, is we've been here since Sunday to watch the Bears Bronx Bulls and Breakaway. We've seen all these stories unfold, and some of these stories we've seen them unfold all year from our region to here and stuff. And it's neat to see some of these kids. Some of them, their senior year, some of them their freshman year, and how they're stepping up. I've talked to a couple coaches, and one of the coaches is like, man, I didn't think he had it in him, and his kid's leading the nation right now, and really stepped up here. And those are really neat things to see, and we get to see it all week. And all year for that part, that I think that's what makes college rodeo so great.
Yeah, it's neat being in this role because you are right there in the action for every single kid. And might be, pulling a horse off the gate just so a kid can nod, but then you're right there in every success story and every
tier
when they fall short.
Yeah.
And you get a vested interest in them because you're right there, boots on the ground with them. you go to a regular season rodeo and you might, you help your kids and then maybe you're stepping back and doing something else and don't watch much of the other competition. But, we're in every run, every ride. And you get vested. And so, this story unfolding today, which is an amazing short round stack up. It's going to be pretty awesome to watch.
Well, so did you guys see, speaking of stories, did you guys see the story about the goat tying horse?
I actually have a little more information on that goat tying horse. So Beaver Sagata, who judges a lot of our college rodeos, has judged the college finals up here. I traveled with his son for a while. That horse, when his son owned him, was named Bill and was a bulldogging horse and was an outstanding bulldogging horse.
John, Bill, Sniper.
Yeah. Bryce Sagata had that horse for, I don't know, Bryce and I texted back and forth the other day because he had me film it here in the goat tying. So I got somebody to film it for him, but that was his bulldogging horse. And he won a lot of money on that horse as a bulldogging horse. And Bryce lives there in Oklahoma around the Grant area.
That's funny because I've made several comments that, okay, I'm going to age myself again. In the past, goat tyers would ride calf horses. They would ride old calf horses so they could get that stop and that send from the horse. Well, now it's completely different. And now they literally are riding steer wrestling horses. Mm-hmm. I made the comment joking around because they don't even slow down now.
No.
So it's perfect.
It's amazing how athletic those girls are.
Oh.
Yeah, I was talking to one the other day, and she had clocked her get-offs the other day at 33 miles an hour.
That's crazy.
She was moving at 33 miles an hour, stepping off. And I was thinking back at our practices all year and how fast I'd drive the Ranger. And I wasn't getting to 33. I guarantee you that.
But that's really good to know because now know, like, if we're going to compete at the CNFR and at that level, like, you can gradually push on the gas a little bit more and get those girls kind of where they need to be. And
you probably don't quite see those speeds here because it's such a short arena and short setup. But they're cooking down there. Oh. And I mean, to tie and what they're tying.
There was, I don't know who it was, but there was a gal last night that she wasn't very tall. Reeves. Who was it?
Kristen Reeves.
And her little feet were just going as fast as they could. And I thought she was going to biff it. And she didn't even.
She's really, really athletic. She won the national title up here last year as well.
Yeah.
And she's a Stacy Martin protege.
There you go.
That's what Stacy preaches. She gets those girls' feet moving faster than they're going by the time they hit the ground. It's incredible to see. She's really done a lot to.
Yeah, that's great.
They go time.
For sure. Because I think it was. I don't want to say it was stagnant, but there just was. Like the one big thing in the progression of goat tying was that ladies were gathering in the air. Yep. So by the time they land, the feet are there and they don't have to scoop. They don't have to waste that time. They go right to their string. But that was it for a long time. Mm-hmm. There wasn't really anything else to elevate that event. You can only go so fast to tie. And the only other place that they could have made up time was in that dismount. So it's pretty fun to watch. I do find myself going like cringing almost because it's so fast. Yeah. But then they make it and I don't know, maybe I just have like PTSD from all the wrecks that I had.
Well, looking at the third round, 7 flat was 24th in the round.
Yeah. Well, so we have, now we're talking about goat tying because that's kind of where I always end up, but there's several national champions coming back tonight.
Yeah.
So Paige Rasmussen is coming back and she's coming back good.
She's coming back third.
Yeah. Kristen Reeves is coming back. She won last year. So is she, of course it doesn't say that on your sheet. Is she a senior this year?
I believe so. She goes to a junior college. So I don't know how long she's been up here, but she's been up here for a while.
Maybe our viewers know. If you guys know, let us know.
Caitlin Miller from our region she's always tough and she's coming back 5th, but she's only 0.4 of a second out of the lead, which, there's just looking at goat time from 18-1 to 19-7 is separating first from 12th, but first to 7th is only 0.6 of a second separating them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they're wolf.
Shout out to Jim Boy. The goats have been outstanding up here. Jim
Yeah.
Boy
They
Hatch
always are. I mean,
We
has-
know
has
Jim Boy
outs-
on this platform,
has
so
outstanding goats up here.
he is a frequent flyer for us. So, well, you guys, we're gonna go ahead and take a 30-second commercial break. I think that just some backstory. There is a lot of stuff going on involved with the CNFR 2 days. So right now, out in the arena, out there behind us, is the Special Olympics Rodeo. It's a great event. It's been going on since it came to Casper. I don't think there was ever a year that we missed it or that it wasn't with us. So that's going on. I know that both of these guys are always involved with that. Also, the NIRA Style Show, which is a fundraiser for our foundation and for scholarships. That's going on today. What else? Student athletes are coming in right now to get headshots taken.
Interviews for ESPN.
Interviews for ESPN. So normally when I'm here in the morning, I have to call someone to let me in because there is nobody here. It's a very busy house this morning. So we're going to go to commercial and you're going to come back and probably get stuck with just CJ and I because Ben's going to go help with the special kids rodeo. So you guys stay tuned and we'll be right back.
We are chasing a dream, one that tests our grit, our faith, our courage. This dream calls us. It unites us. Here's to those who lead this life.
Okay, just kidding. Ben's not leaving because we want to talk about a little bit of rough stock before he goes. So, all right. Well, we did talk about rough stock yesterday. Like it was all bareback riding. I know more about bareback riding now. I bet I know not that far. Since I know as much about bareback riding now as I do about goat tying because I got an education yesterday.
Oh yeah, from the
Kelly Timmerman and Jeff Collins.
oh, just right. Yeah.
I kind of
You
just
did
sat
do
back.
Jeff's our hype man. You know,
Yes.
you know that he talks every night.
I
at our
just sat
meetings.
back and watched. Like it was pretty great.
Yeah, those two guys. I mean, talk about breaking to a science.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So talk a little bit about any rough stock event. Just tell us what's going on your end.
There's so much talent here. I mean, and I said this at the opening meeting during opening ceremonies. There's so much young talent that is kicking butt in the PRCA ranks, kicking butt across the nation. That is here in the college national finals this year. And deep talent. And you'll see that today in the short round. I mean, you've got 4 freshmen in the short round in the bareback riding. It's going to be absolutely electric. A really good pen of horses for these guys to showcase their talent, and it's going to be absolutely unreal. I'm super excited. All 3 rough stock events are going to be great. You know?
Well, so something that we talked about yesterday a lot was the mental strength and mental capacity that these guys have to have coming in because there's so much unknown. I mean, we know these guys know more about their draw now than what it used to be because there's apps out there, everybody's connected, so well connected with cell phones and whatnot. But even that, like it's still an animal that could decide to go left instead of its usual right.
Well,
So
one thing you can really notice too is the explosion of youth rodeo below college rodeo has seasoned and conditioned these kids so much. I mean, like I said, you got a bunch of freshmen in the short round today in the bronc ride and the bareback riding especially that, I mean, this is just another rodeo for them.
yeah.
You don't see the pressure like when I was here as a freshman. Holy cow.
Yeah.
A little bit different. This was the biggest event we'd ever been
This
to.
is the biggest stage. Yeah, I've never seen a crowd before. And these guys, I mean, I'm talking to a couple of them this morning. They're at the children's rodeo. They knew what they had, and there wasn't an ounce of doubt.
No.
They're here to do what they're going to do. And
No, I think Weston said yesterday, because I asked him, like, when you see your draw, what do you think? And he said, that poor sucker.
Yeah.
Like, there's just, and you have to have that. Even, it's the law of attraction.
Yeah.
Even if you have that little bit of, like, doubt or, man, this could be a bad one or this could be rough, like, you got to push it out. And the law of attraction, you attract what you put out.
Absolutely.
So I see.
It's been working all year for these kids.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So saddle bronc riding.
Bronc riding too. I mean, you got an outstanding lineup. There's I mean, half of this short round's in the top 25 in the world. You know, I'm super excited, and all these kids, they have such a very defined style, each of them. They all, I mean, are just setting the world on fire, and it's going to be absolutely amazing to watch. I've got a couple that are in there, so you know, it's vested interest, of course, but
Yeah.
you know, all these guys, you've seen them all, got to know them all week, got to be right there in their struggles and their triumphs. It's, you know, there's not a bad matchup today in the bronc riding, the barrel riding, or the bull riding. Bull riding, I mean, that's a CJ story, right?
Yeah, that's a CJ story.
Got old
That's-
Tristan.
Got Tristan.
So there's
on the
a
show.
good segue, by the way. There's a pretty good story building up for the bull riding tonight. Tristan Hutchings, he was here last year. He was, if I remember correctly, the only one to cover 3.
He was
Two.
covered 2 last year. This is the 3rd year in a row he's come back leading it to the short round. So that's pretty impressive in itself.
Yeah.
To come back 3 years in a row as the number one man back.
And does he know that bully's getting on today?
He does know the bully's getting on today. Last year it bucked him off for a shot to win the national title. They probably didn't need to light any more fire underneath him, but
Yeah.
they did.
They did.
And that kid's got ice in his veins. I mean, he craves opportunities like this.
Yeah.
It's awesome to see.
And I will add, and I told you this, and I'll happily share it with everyone. There was a huge amount of growth in this cowboy year over year. I had an opportunity to interview him. Didn't really know, you know, I was just walking around sticking microphones in people's faces and just having conversations with them. And you messaged me afterwards, and you were like, "Hey, you need to know, like, this guy's going to be a contender this year, and this is where it's at." And I had an opportunity, of course. Now that relationship is built, so he was razzing me about snagging somebody else to interview, and so then I had to find him again. Yeah, then I had to, like, it was kind of a challenge. So a great interview, but I saw a tremendous amount of growth in how he carried himself, how he spoke, and that's just in 1 year. You know, obviously, this is not the training ground anymore. Like, the CNFR was always like, these are our up and coming champions. Like, no, these are our champions, and they're college rodeoing.
What I think so special about Tristan is he went to the NFR, had a great NFR. A lot of guys are done after that.
Yeah.
He came back to school and he actually graduated, which, you know, that's our goal as coaches, is to get these kids to graduate. And I had 2 guys that went to the finals this year. I had Tristan and Cole Franks, and they both came back and graduated after having really good performances at the NFR. And I think that's just testament to their character and their families and how they raised them, that, you know, they realize that there's more to what they're going to be doing in their future than just rodeo, and they both earned their degrees and stuff. So that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
That's the neat part about good coaches like CJ and having the opportunities to build these kids on all fronts.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of coaches, I won't say a lot of coaches because I don't see it as much as we used to.
Yes, that's
but
true.
So many of them are worried about the competition, and
Mhm.
you won me a title, and then if you head out from here, that's fine. But you know, I know CJ has really been driving Tristan to finish his studies and get a degree. And
It's certainly a
And
lot
that's a
more
huge
academic
accomplishment.
focused across the board.
absolutely.
You know, I think there always was, you're right. It was way more prevalent, even like when we were rodeoing, there was always like, yeah, that's the rodeo school, not really the school.
Yeah, and very rarely, I mean, did you see somebody win a title and then come back to college?
Yeah.
Especially in the bull riding. I mean, there's so many opportunities in the bull riding for these guys to just take off and make just gobs of money.
So many.
And be covered, you know, in sponsorships and whatever they do. So for Tristan to put value in that is a testament to CJ and what he's done with his leadership.
He's very humble. Both of these guys are probably the most humble coaches here, and give of their time more than most. Not all, but most for sure. So kudos to both of these guys. So I talked about it briefly, but you know, Tony Branquino and I were talking on the phone the other day, and that is one of the things. Like, when we were going, we didn't see NFR names here because this was like a pre-NFR step. Like, although we knew that a lot of cowboys and cowgirls were traveling and were going to PRCA rodeos, because as we've talked about, collegiate, and unlike other collegiate sports, you can go pro and still compete at the college level. So we knew that it was happening, but we weren't seeing their names on the PRCA standings like we are now.
Right.
What's the difference? Like what changed?
I don't know necessarily what changed, but I think a lot of kids realize now, or some kids realize now, and some, like Ben said, some
Mhm.
coaches, I know Ben does, I know there's a handful of coaches that really do. You know, you look at the NFR, the average age of a lot of those guys there, your career is kind of like in football. You don't have a long career in
Yeah.
rodeo. So, you know, what are you planning on doing the rest of your life? And you need those degrees. But with the new formats of rodeos, a lot of them can get in and out, and they can be back to school, you know, in a day or two. And you know, like I'm speaking from time events and the rough stock, it's kind of always been the same way. But a lot of those rodeos are back to back, where they can go to a rodeo, they can run both their steers, they can get back to school, and then I think it's a lot easier to travel now. You know, getting on planes and stuff.
Yeah.
Kids can travel and they can go to those rodeos. They can make it back to class, and then the money is so good at pro rodeos now that they can be a little more selective. They don't have to be on the road and go to, you know, so many rodeos. They can go to a lot of good rodeos, and with the extreme bulls and stuff, they can go to, you know, some of those and they can make a lot of money.
Yeah.
And that'll allow them to qualify for the finals.
I think that's a big part of what CJ and I were talking about, is how do we make this college finals better for these kids? Because right now it's extremely pure intentions that these kids are coming here to
Yes.
compete for a national title, because that's what they're doing. It's a national title. There's not a lot of money.
No,
There's not a bunch
there's
of
no
huge
added,
opportunities.
there's no added money.
There's no giant sponsorship package you walk out of here with. They're doing it, you know, purely for the title.
For
Yeah.
love of the game, for
Yeah.
lack of better words.
It's the love of the game. Absolutely.
For sure. For sure. Well, that's awesome. You guys have anything else to add? We'll just wrap up then.
Okay.
That's
Cool.
easy. All right, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for watching live. If you are watching the replay and you have questions, put them in the comments. I can get a hold of these guys, or I can find the answer. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. It is always an honor and a blessing for me to be able to do this show and to be surrounded by this caliber of cowboys and student athletes and coaches and humans in general. And I greatly appreciate it. Also want to give a shout out to CINCH Jeans. Not only are they a proud national sponsor of the NIRA and the official CNFR, but also of Bullfrog Creatives. And we appreciate that so much. So, all right, if you don't have your tickets for tonight,
Better get them quick. It's filling up.
It is 577-3030 will get you to the Sinclair box office, and you can get your tickets for the championship round of the College National Finals Rodeo. And on that note, we're signing off, and we'll hope to see you back next year.
We are chasing a dream, one that tests our grit, our faith, our courage. This dream calls us. It unites us. Here's to those who lead this life.